We're going to bring John Herbst in, the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine and Uzbekistan, former U.S. consul general in Jerusalem, who joins us along with Dan Arbell tonight. Good to see you again, Dan, as well. Thoughts from both? Maybe, Dan, you start us off on, where we are in all of this. Is interesting. We went from a shot in Washington where the rationale for war was being articulated and explained by administration officials, then the Speaker of the House, and the rebuttal from the Democratic side, to the very real war in the Middle East and the retaliation from Iran, which is ongoing in Tel Aviv. What's your assessment of where we stand tonight, Dan?
First of all, on a personal level, it's hard to watch as two of my children live in Tel Aviv and are going through this terrible ordeal. But going broader to the broader region and a broader perspective, I think that it's too early in the game to say where this is going. This could go either way, and certainly it's too early to count Iran out. Certainly a lot of damage has been inflicted on, and pain has been inflicted on the Iranians. Yet, it's too early to tell where this is going. It could go, the regime's #1 priority is survival. And as we can see right now, it's doing all that it can just to survive. It has broadened the scope of war, not just, versus Israel and the United States, all over the region. It's hitting targets all over the region and trying to make this, the regional countries put pressure on the U.S. to, bring this to an end. But we're not at this point yet, and certainly Trump's calculations are one, and Netanyahu's calculations are the other, and we'll have to see how the two of them work together, as I think Trump wants to end this sooner than Netanyahu, who would like to see this go on for much further.
Well, now we know, Ambassador Herbst, that it was Netanyahu and Israel that, I don't know if the term is pushed, but certainly brought the United States into this, because that's what Secretary Rubio said, it's what Speaker Johnson just said, that Israel was going to attack Iran with or without the United States. And the assessment was made by the president that was a threat to the U.S., personnel in the region, assets in the region that Iran would strike. So then we struck. What do you make of that?
I dealt with U.S.-Israeli relations years ago, and certainly there are times when Israel acts on its own, whether or not we approve. There are times when it does not. In this case, I'm just not sure what the situation is. I think it's clear that as a result of the political situation here, this is a new position taken by the administration. I can see Netanyahu going along with that position, but whether or not that actually reflects how this played out, I'm just not sure.
What would you say, Robert, on the ground there in Tel Aviv? From again, we're learning more of these details in real time today from U.S. officials as they articulate it. There was always this idea of, why now, and that appears to be the why now.
For all the conversations that we've had, pretty overwhelmingly in support of these operations here, for the reason that Israelis view just about every source of tension, every single attack that they have come under fire from over the last few years, pretty much all those roads go back to Tehran. And so their position is that if the threat from Iran is eliminated, that diminishes threats that would come from Yemen, that come from militant groups in Iraq and Syria, because all these groups are funded directly by Iran. So while there's always mixed sentiments here about the White House as it stands and the current president, there's pretty overwhelming support, I would say, for action against Iran, believing it gives them a chance at stability and even opening diplomatic ties one day with other countries around the region.
In the few minutes we have left, gentlemen, what about this idea of how all those puzzle pieces fit together? I've heard all kinds of predictions, and all of them have come with caveats that this is the Middle East. You never know what's going to happen next from minute to minute, more or less day to day. But Dan, to start with you, transformational event, do you see it like that? I mean, do you make comparisons to history? You think the Middle East will never be the same, or something more gradual? How do you see what we're living through right now?
I think the elimination of Khamenei is historic. At the same time, it's not the end of the game. I mean, it could go either way. We could still see another, extremist regime or leader come to power, or this could go to a popular revolution. So we're very early in the game to assess where this is heading, in my opinion.
Yeah, what about you, Ambassador Herbst, in terms of how it affects other geopolitical stories that, most of the time you're on, we're talking about Ukraine. Does it make Russia more likely, some have suggested, to make a deal in Ukraine? Is there other fallout from all of this in terms of it being a transformational moment, or do you not see it that way?
the regime to change, it would immediately improve relations in the Middle East. It would be good for global policy in Central Asia, because then the Central Asian countries can move their products to the Indian Ocean through Iran. But we don't know if that's what will turn out. I think it's safe to say that the destruction we in Israel have visited on on Iran's means to make war is very positive. The nuclear capacity, the ballistic missiles, and such, because those means were not just used against Israel; they were used against us. So that's a plus. And the Russians have been gobsmacked by the success of this operation in taking out the Iranian leadership, and that's a positive for them to see our power when we choose to use it.
Yeah, well, Robert, in the region, if you want to look at timeline for a moment, a lot has been made about the president's comments suggesting maybe a month, 4 or 5 weeks is what he's been throwing out as a number, and then others suggesting, no, it could be much faster than that. You're living through it on a night-by-night basis now, I understand that, but what has the discussion been like in Israel about how long this could all last?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, because, of course, people have lived through situations like this many, many times in the past. I mean, I think that people are prepared for the long haul here, prepared that this could go on for some time, and to a degree are supportive of that. Again, I mean, hoping that, with the elimination of Iran's threats, that it brings about stability here in the region. I don't think that many anticipate this to be quick. I think people were surprised that the 12 days war last year only lasted 12 days. And just about everyone in Israel found out that the war was over the same way we did from Truth Social at the end of the day. But there does seem to be an understanding that, I mean, even though there's been significant elimination of Iran's leadership, there are still pieces in place that are still carrying the standard. Whether it's the foreign minister, the president of Iran, the head of the National Security Association, I mean, they've not given any indication that they're relenting yet. So, I mean, there's an understanding that more needs to be done because there are still leaders in Iran who are still prepared to push forward.
No doubt, and the ones there that are commanding this military are pressing forward. Just a quick final thought, Dan, from you on this. It is, to Robert's earlier point, remarkable to see the State Department urging U.S. citizens to leave more than a dozen Middle Eastern countries. So we always talk about regional conflicts and escalation and how this spreads. This one already has its tentacles reaching out fairly far.
Yeah, absolutely. This exodus of Americans and American nationals from the region will be interesting to watch, and we haven't seen such a scale since the Iraq War, and so yeah, definitely this is very, very disturbing and needs to be followed.
Dan Arbell, John Herbst, and of course Robert Sherman, our News Nation International correspondent.